Welcome back, everybody. A big congratulations. You have made it. It is the first day of spring today. And that, my friends, is a glorious reason for us to congregate here and discuss some art. Artist Journal, March 20th, 2023, broadcasting to the world from the sunny vistas in my mind on the pirate ship, looking off at the nice, calm, smooth seas with the sun reflecting there. My name is Adrian Pocobelli. Welcome back. You know what the high seas are? I remember I didn't even know what it meant when I said it one episode, broadcasting from the high seas of my imagination. So I looked it up, and you know what it is? It's actually all the parts of the sea that are not part of countries' territory. It's like the international sea area is actually the high seas. So that kind of adds another layer here. Speaking of layers, let's look at Dan Control and keep these snappy. I thought this was a brilliant work. Of course, we've been following Dan Control for months here, and why I liked it. So first of all, this work here called Boing, one of the things I like about it is how it requires no explanation. There is the title, Boing, which basically, confirms for us in our minds that this is a ball bouncing. What I like about it is how self-consciously it is a digital work of art. It is, this repetition here. First of all, the gradient is kind of, I don't want to call it unmistakably digital because people can paint pretty convincing gradients, but it is nevertheless a digital tool. There is the repetition, which is digital, and there is also, so there is that. So there's this kind of very digital aspect to it. And there are also all these themes that Dan has been playing with. The gradient, the repetition, say with the ducks or the chairs or everything, the lighters, right? And also this idea of the edge of the canvas, making it, you could argue, a self-conscious, it points attention to the fact that it is a work of art. This isn't simply like a impressionist painting where we're portraying the beach and, clouds in the sky. This feels kind of weirdly, maybe not weirdly, modern. It feels modern because it's bouncing off the edge of the canvas here, right? It's calling attention to the fact that it's a work of art, and this is also a theme that Dan Control has played with. Remember the Nokia phone? And he had about 5 of these things where they're stretched all the way, and it was very awkward and what I'd almost call outrageous in a good way. These outrageous works. Maybe we can find them quickly. So he's played with this idea with the edge of the canvas. Okay, so what I like about this is it basically distills a lot of the ideas that Dan has been working with in a very elegant way, because the thing with the ball is it kind of makes sense. The movement of the ball is bouncing off the side of the canvas. This is what balls do. They bounce around. Boing, as the work is called. So anyways, very interesting. 150 Tezos, an edition of one. And this is part of a series called Repeat. And here you can see other versions. And it appears to me that Dan has taken, as you can see, say the yellow ball here, that layer on top, it looks like he's taken that layer and each of these 4 layers and put them all together in this one work here, this one of one. Whereas these other versions with beautiful colors here, we'll look at them individually, they are a Tezos each in editions of 100. It's kind of an interesting contrast in and of itself, the way the edition numbers and the pricing. Let me just show you quickly, for those that might not know, just very quickly, these stretched out works. Here they are. See, like the phone and the playing with the edge of the canvas here. Okay? So this is, to me, this is kind of outrageous. Like, what are you doing, right? But this is the idea. So that is also at work here, right? Bouncing off playing with the edges, calling attention to the work of art as a work of art. The work of art is calling attention to itself as a work of art by virtue of its, calling attention to its limits, its frame, and then bouncing off of it. So I think just a kind of very elegant series here with just, again, conceptually very elegant. And I think what's so striking for me about it, and which just made me keep coming back to it, was, again, how it requires no explanation. It's all there, communicated visually in a very simple way that even you could argue maybe a 15-year-old, 12-year-old would maybe have the exact same thoughts I might, right? And that's not an easy task. Big thank you to Sotheby's, not to Sotheby's, to all the collectors who picked up Sotheby's ad. So very cool, part of the pixel art series. Thank you, everybody, and a couple even on secondary there. So anyway, really appreciate it. I posted it yesterday morning, went out for lunch at my girlfriend's sister's place. We all came back and it was sold out, and that made me very thrilled. It is, what I said to myself is, what a rush. It's a real rush, selling art. So going to have to do that more often. So anyways, there it is, Sotheby's ad. Again, using the square brushes and some dithering there, and playing with really the contrast between the square and the organic movement that you get from using a pencil. So there it is, and of course there's Warhol's McJagger print, and in the form of a Google ad for Sotheby's. Continuing on. Interesting comment. So we're discussing how prolificness in reality, contrary to what some people might think, actually builds credibility. And this is pretty much, I would argue, it's not even a debate. But I mean, people can debate it and people can disagree with me, and that's okay. But just in terms of the credibility of an artist, you're just in the best company that you could hope to be if you're a prolific artist. It's something to aspire to as an artist. Leonardo with his 6,000 drawings, Picasso with his tens of thousands of work, Warhol, Basquiat, died young, made something like 600, 900 paintings, whatever it was. Van Gogh, so was making a painting every day or two in the last 3 years, I think, along those lines. So in a sense, it's kind of, it's one of those areas of life where quantity, it's almost like size matters. Quantity actually does matter because it sort of gets things spread out in a very kind of real way. The more you have, the more that's out there. On a very basic level, I don't know if I'd say the more famous you are as an artist, but in a sense on a certain level, because just because you make a lot of art doesn't mean that people are going to like it or collect it. So quantity isn't everything, but if it is something that people like and collect, then the more you have, the more that's just out there, and the more it does kind of, the more famous, in a sense, you are as an artist, in a sense, I would argue, the more famous you become. So it's something to kind of, aspire to as far as your art, because you want your art to be known and celebrated, and ideally you enter the pantheon there of great artists. I mean, let's be real here. That is, are you going to be an artist and you don't want to, that's really the part of the point here. Okay? So anyways, all to say, Uxine had a comment about this whole idea of prolificness. Can't agree more with Exnardo's point, who's making the point that, to be prolific, you're in good company, Picasso, Basquiat, Leonardo. If rarity is in someone's success recipe, I can't imagine anything more easy to replicate. Have a great weekend. So exactly, there's nothing more easy to replicate than scarcity. So this, to me, this idea, because it does, I think it's a result of actually the crypto NFT scene, although I could see the contemporary art scene latching on to this to a certain degree if you start putting out too many works. But overall, I think the reason why a lot of, say, NFT crypto is because they want scarcity, because then it's, the idea is it'll be more valuable, because the more quantity there is, then the less value. And I think this is mistaken. Maybe in the short term, but in the very long term, you want an artist that is prolific, who is a force of nature. And a force of nature is not keeping everything bottled in or not bothering to do the work. You kind of want someone who's doing the work and spreading everything out as far as possible and selling it. And, again, look at Picasso, ceramics, sculpture. And I'm not even a huge, Picasso guy, but you have to respect the experimentation and the prolificness. I wonder to myself if that's a word, but I'm not worrying about it. Karim Safa. So this is really interesting. So we know Karim from the Tezos and Object. He puts together what I call these pixel art factories, and you can see them in action. And what's so cool about this is it looks like it's on like a see-through screen, but because it looks like we can see the subway kind of through this screen here. As far as I can tell, I mean, so very cool work, and these kind of move around. You know, Gogo Lightus and Karim Safa are both, you know, my two kind of pixel art factory guys that do awesome work. So let's see what it says. I guess I've shared this version, except for the pictures. The piece was displayed on 5,000 public screens in the Netherlands as part of the demo festival last year. It was also part of the Ancient Futures exhibition at the Istanbul Archaeology Museum. So I assume that's there. So that's super cool. So it looks like here's Karim Safa being exhibited in Istanbul along probably like 3,000, 5,000-year-old work. I mean, this is, you know, we were talking about the Louvre. This is pretty good. You know, when they're putting ancient work, the Istanbul Archaeology Museum, that's pretty fine, Karim Safa. And here's the work for those that might not be familiar with it. So this is what happens on those screens. So, I mean, pretty rad, pretty cool. And again, kind of like we were saying with Dan Control's work, no explanation required, right? I mean, it is what it is, and you gotta love it. I mean, I've been to so many exhibitions in the contemporary art world where you don't understand it, and it's some, you know, picture from the 70s, and it's supposed to be deep and everything, but you have to read like 3 pages of an artist statement or a page of an artist statement just to understand what it is. So I'm a big fan. The Unnecessary Machines. I mean, great title from 2022. So optimized for 9:16. So I'm a big fan of stuff where it doesn't require too much explanation, because I think it communicates more successfully, is where I'm going with that. Simone Pompey sent a message, and it was very interesting. And he brought up this idea, which I asked him if I could bring up here. He brought up this idea that discoverability is one of the trickiest parts of being an artist, say on Object and just in the NFT art scene. And I think there's a certain amount of truth to that, but I think it's also, I was thinking about that, because, you know, I remember when I started, it's like, you're basically, when you start, nobody knows who you are. But I find it's actually a remarkably small scene, at least at this point. So I was thinking to myself, like, if you're putting out work, you're tweeting it, even if nobody sees it, it still will get seen a little bit. You reply, you buy the odd work from other people. If you do that enough, comment and say great piece, whatever the case is, I think the more you do that, I think discoverability is solvable, is where I'm going with that. I think it's solvable. And Simone also brought up this idea of how working on different series, and how can that, does that impact your perception, people's perception of you as an artist negatively, if you have too many different kinds of series? And my answer to that is, first of all, there is precedent. I mean, you can go to Gerhard Richter. If you ever go to a big Gerhard Richter show, you're going to see all sorts of different series. You can see that they're process machines, as I call them. I call them process machines. So it's an idea that's explored, and then variations, and then it's just continually explored. We see it with Richard Prince, who does photographs of like the cowboys, kind of the Marlboro cowboys, but then does the nurse, the painted nurses series, which are beautiful. Inkjet on canvas with beautiful acrylic with heavy gel medium. There's a tip for you on top. All to say, as far as as long as you're consistently exploring a series, I don't think it's a problem. I think the problem is if you jump from thing to thing to thing without really properly exploring a series, and then I think you start to run into issues. I mean, I've thought about this a long time, because I have about 7 or 8 different series. But the reality is say like the nostalgia study series goes back to like 2012, and I'm still working on it. I'm working on one today. Okay, so the screen memories related images series that I work on, that's since 2017, and I'm still just kind of iterating and exploring. So I think for me that makes it okay, because I'm completely just evolving with it, moving with it, and exploring really what that series can do in a certain sort of way. So to me, it's about being consistent in your inconsistency, you might say, or being consistent across these different series. Where people start to have reservations is when you jump from, I'm going to do one work this way, one work that way, one work that way, and then it's just hard for a collector to know what's going on, and it doesn't build credibility. But if you explore a series, do 5 of these, 5 of that, and then you don't go too crazy with too many different series, and often you can see, consistency across those series, I'd argue, even if as different as they might be. So anyways, thank you, Simone. And we're going to look at some of Simone's work in the AI section here. Quick update from Strange Thing. Good morning. I'm excited to share a thread of Midjourney V5 raw AI photos that showcase stunning realism from complex details to fine art. This is a journey you don't want to miss. And here, almost Strange Thing gets professorial. It's like Professor Strange Thing. You can see the lecture series that are coming. First of all, so this is, just another example of, Midjourney V5. So we see how almost hyper-realistic this is, and the depth of field. Here's another one. And I just love the commentary here. An elderly man in a cafe, take note of the dirt on the window here and the light reflection in his glasses, which all add to the realism. So anyways, there is a ton here. I don't know if Strange Thing put out a great thread, but just showing, look at the dust as he points out. AI dust. I mean, it's so convincing. It's pretty amazing. And then, he's pointing out the wing. Note the detail and sharpness in the wings. So kind of a master class here from a master of the AI art medium, Strange Thing here. So look at this. I mean, so it's pretty impressive. And as he says, great wallpaper. So nice commentary. I mean, quite useful, and it goes on. So also one more from Strange Thing on Midjourney V5. Been building prompts on V5 for oil texture. So oil painting, happy with the results. Now try to mix into my already complex wrong era prompts. Zoom in. So anyway, all to say, maybe we should zoom in here. Here is the oil painting treatment. So even this reflection here, that is great. So let's just zoom in. Yeah, so anyways, so you can see there. So just interesting from Strange Thing on Midjourney V5, and one more on AI, Unknown Collector. In times of rising AI perfection, I'm valuing the imperfect and weird more and more. Probably never will see me collecting quote-unquote post-photography if it's not bringing something new to the table besides looking good, lol. So this is pretty interesting because this is something that a lot of artists anticipated, AI artists anticipated a few months ago, that when you have these, what I call AI distortions, or you have 6 fingers, or, the hand turns into a doorknob, or whatever the thing is, whatever the distortion is, that this will be seen as a moment in time. It's not a, put it this way, it's a feature and not a bug. And when I first looked at this stuff, I said, yeah, this is great and everything, but this is a bug. But what the artists, said, the AI artists, is like, actually that's a feature. And I came to very warm up to that point of view. And now Unknown Collector is saying, I'm not really into this AI perfection as much as I am into the distortions, as far as I understand this. So pretty interesting. And now it's gotten so good with Midjourney V5, it sounds like people are calling it post-photography, which kind of is a term that seems to have been lifted from, the photography sphere to talk about people who, take a picture and then maybe glitch it out or whatever the case is. So, I mean, we saw Sabato, I think, last show referencing post-photography in the context of AI. And I think he was actually referencing how that definition was sort of getting lifted out and getting changed by the new Midjourney. Another just interesting comment, this time from Sky Goodman. The narrative that forms from the collective seems random, but it's all a conversation we've been having. And so here you see, Sky Goodman's work here, the basketball sneakers, and then you see a Sabato work of the basketball, and there is more Sabato and more Sky Goodman. And this almost looks like Koda Nakazono, but I'm not sure about that. So anyways, I couldn't agree more about this. And that is what makes a healthy, interesting, strong scene, is artists responding to each other, right? So just worth mentioning that comment here. And Retro Manny, new drop for Tezos. So this is like a Tezos music thing. I don't know too much about it. See the full version of my collab with Jay Peasy at 1 p.m. So here it is. And I think there's some, is there any, yeah, so anyways. Kind of cool 80s music. So, and there is the event. And I think I brought up, let me try bringing it up again. They have this area in spatial.io, so not on Cyber, but it's kind of similar. Let's see if this loads up. And I think last time I saw a space background. Let me just try loading this one more time. And anyway, here is their, maybe it's daytime now. And so anyways, interesting how the person is reading the artist statement here, and then you turn around. Yeah, I think that's there's the space background, and now the works are loading up. So these, and then you can walk through. And there is a piece there. So here it is. And everything. So anyways, that is happening. Tezos Genesis collection. Check it out. So this came out on Friday. The Myth added to Camp Creme. So the final kind of works here on Camp Creme with the hilarious pearl necklace. You start to see the themes that reoccur with the leopard print and the pearls. Here he put a nice kind of rose and some beautiful texture here in the background, and you also see it in the color here. These are not typical Myth colors. So the Myth, what's the title of this? The Last Romantic of Neptune. Even the title seems kind of campy. The Myth Camp Creme Event 2023. Buy now for 30 Tezos. And there is one left. There is one left. So get it while you can. Very cool work. And this also came out from the Myth, I think last night. My Sunday trip. So it looks like Myth may be doing some exploration in inner space here and coming back to report to us over the digital airwaves here. And there is Myth in different colors. So interesting work. And a new work from someone who we haven't seen from in a while, Matias La Plata, is back in action. And this, although it looks physical, this work was my first work done on an iPad. So here it is, and it looks like an ode to Argentina here, and just kind of a really cool, work with a lot of different stuff and some nice brush work here. It looks like he's exploring the iPad and Procreate is what it looks like to me. Adios Muchachos is a work inspired by the country where I was born, Argentina. So there it is, price of 12 Tezos, edition of 15, and that is now on secondary. It sold out for 5 Tezos. So very cool. Very cool work, and great to see Matias La Plata. I think it's Matias La Plata back in action here. So, Board Me Social Club, Last Camper Standing. Interesting title, Happy Camper. And Lust is in the braces here, over here, and a big nose ring. So anyways, interesting, strange kind of work. Interesting contrast, once again, between the shirt, the treatment of the shirt, the background, and the face. Almost looks like a wrestling mask, and this guy is crying, the happy camper, with this strange, so again, another surrealist work here. An interesting layering here. You almost see kind of brushwork underneath this, textured brushes with physical brush marks on top. So anyways, very interesting digital drawing from Board Me Social Club. And this is what is going on here. An addition of 3 and transferred 1 to Mikey Wilson. So maybe part of Camp Creme, the last camper standing, maybe. That's a reference to that, perhaps. Gloomtube. How are we doing here? Got to run. Total mental control, real-world application. So here's Gloomtube, paranoia, delusion, anxiety. So anyways, a new work on Foundation with this newer kind of style that he's been experimenting with that has a lot more texture in it. So continuing to experiment here, this almost looks like a poster of some kind, paranoia, delusion, anxiety, and sold for 0.23. And so Gloomtube continues to sell. This went to Greatest Tanuki on Foundation. A new one from Sumi Reusi, My Hands. It's another kind of dark work here. And we see what appears to be a woman looking at her hands and light coming. It's unclear if the light is coming, where the light is coming from. So interesting, mysterious work, nice texture, and a nice contrast of the color with the black and white. Available for 10 Tezos. There are 3 left on primary edition of 11, My Hands. And good old Hasdrubal Waffle has entered back on the scene, thinking of you with a dagger in my heart, playing again with, the kids' painting tools, and almost seeming to, it's hard to tell if, it's almost tempting to think this person is working on a tablet, but probably not. This person is probably just looking at a picture of a clown, and then with the dagger in my heart, thinking of you with the dagger in my heart, and there's some blood with a lot of texture on the ground here. So anyways, kind of another interesting work with that beautiful frame that we love from Hasdrubal Waffle, and a little bit of gradient there. And there's another one, SAOMH, Sneak Attack on Merle Haggard, Never Forget. So I think that's a country singer. I'm not sure. And here's some naked guy jumping on Merle Haggard in a sneak attack. This, I'm not sure if it's the same software, but another probably kids software, painting software tool that Hasdrubal Waffle likes to use. These are both at auction for 15, an edition of 5 and 3. And here's one by Reenie Fish, who we've looked at once before, another mysterious artist who actually hangs really well with Hasdrubal. Let's see if there's volume. I don't think so. So just kind of a wild work here. I think Reenie Fish has like a nice audience on Twitter, from what I could tell. Last time I posted something on her, it was, there's a lot of people seem to really like her work, and there's a lot of excitement, let's call it that. So here, let's see if we can get this one working. So I think that other one just came out, and here's a new one. I can see why. I mean, it's just really just kind of mysterious. It's different. It's very original. And so anyways, edition of 15, this is for 29. So this came out March 7th. This other one just came out on Friday. And so let's just look. Let's see what it sold for on primary quickly at 9 Tezos. So, okay, awesome. Another failed artist from Wasteman Goldminovich, 21, Self-Portrait, My Struggle. And kind of interesting, artist in a studio apartment with real life tattooed on the back, fries, in his little cube, and with his computer on his little night table and a bed and some pizza in McDonald's pizza. And so anyways, and with this big light over top. So another kind of sad portrait of the failed artist. My Struggle, buy for 3 Tezos, edition of 12. Let's see how many are left here. Still 11 to go. So go support the Wasteman Goldminovich there. Andre Gora, this came out, I think, last month, but I didn't see it. Apes Planet. And Gora, of course, has collaborated with Gogolitis and put out a work on Super Rare that we saw at least 2 or 3 months ago. So anyway, put out a new one, and I just thought it was a cool, portrait of our scene here with, there's your keyboard, there's Twitter, Super Rare, Google, Kukai, Object, Manifold, all kind of interesting. Bonk price, for those people that got the airdrop of Bonk. So anyways, a skull of an ape, though, almost reminiscent of Bored Ape Yacht Club a little bit there. And sun, and anyways, just a pretty nice illustration here. So reserve of 1 ETH from Andre Gora, lost on Web3, Apes Planet. Flora Marquez, so just an update on her drawing series. After 2 months and a half of drawing and minting every single day, today my collection, Nulla Disacina Linnea, finally reached 1,000 Tezos of volume. That's pretty good. I want to thank every single person that supports what I do by collecting, sharing, and liking. I love you all. Let's continue doing. So that's pretty good. I mean, it just goes to show putting out work every day, as Flora has done, being prolific has really been really beneficial for Flora. So 1,000 Tezos volume, that's great. And here's another one, 17 Tezos. I want a self-sustainable life. And just, again, these kind of surreal illustrations here. And it'll be interesting to see if the color scheme changes with each month here. And 1 of 1, and this I think was just listed a couple of days ago. So this is still available, interestingly. Rosatio, edition of 20, Fragmented Reality, taking inspiration from automatism. Within the Surrealist movement, the series was created with little to no conscious thought. And again, this was André Breton's first definition of surrealism. I believe he called it, quote, pure psychic automatism. So, and this is the name of the series, automatism. So Rosatio is playing with that first definition. The artwork was created by cutting and rearranging images that fall under CCO license. Along with incorporating digital drawings, the background of the artwork is composed of a frame-by-frame animation. So interesting. So there is actually some collage in here, as Rosatio does. Some of that nice torn paper, a referenced torn paper. So very cool work from Rosatio. Edition of 20, and there are 12 left for 10 Tezos. A cool work by Uyo66, and you know what was interesting about this? It was posted, I saw it on Instagram, and I looked everywhere for it and I couldn't find it. And then so I went to Uyo66's foundation, to their Twitter, and then clicked on the link, and it was foundation, and it was in a collection. So I had gone to the foundation earlier, and I couldn't see it, but it was in a collection. So all to say, when you put stuff in a collection on Super Rare or Foundation, it does tend to make it harder to find. Anyways, this is called, I believe, is it Hangover? After Party. So this would go well on in Berlin here. So there is a devil with alcohol and all sorts of fun being had here. Really nice work. I like the dimensions here. The ratio and just the vertical, it's a very nice piece, and just a nice composition, and even this kind of circular gradients in the background and these great stars here. So anyways, just a cool homage to the After Party, courtesy of Uyo66. This always happens when the party has ended. 0.3 ETH on Foundation. A couple from Coda Nakazono and Continuum number 80, and just interesting, animations here. And here's another one with some water flowing around it. So just fun work from Coda Nakazono, Continuum number 79. This is an edition of 1. Let's just see what it's sold for here. Accepted offer of 50. And let's just see here what happened. And accepted offer of 50. Interesting. So did they go to the same person? They did. So now that person has a nice pair of images from Coda Nakazono that pair really well together. Here's another one, edition of 11, number 77, with some nice pixelation in here. So you just got to love how this is kind of just avenue for experimentation here, this whole series, and trying different things. And these sold for 5 on primary, and then sold on secondary for 10, and here we are. So edition of 11, Continuum number 77, a new work from Demon Ego. So let's just maximize, see if there's any sound. So kind of a video game vibe, as we can see here. Face the demons of a flower-scented land. So interesting. And let's see what happened here. 10 weeks with the most special nightmares. And Buy for 150 Tezos. Well, maybe that's on secondary. That's tuna. So it sold out on primary for 15. And that, again, was an addition of 10. So nice 150 Tezos for Demon Ego. Interesting series. Very interesting series, and so different from those other kind of Sigmar Polk, what seemingly inspired works. So as we saw here, just very quickly, been exploring. So this is okay, because we saw all of these works over here, which are awesome. And, back to the earlier point we were discussing here of doing different series. So here's a different series, but you can see it's being tackled by Demon Ego consistently. Remember, Simone was bringing it up. So I don't think it hurts you to do that. If anything, it shows range, because if Demon Ego only did one thing for the rest of his life, some artists feel trapped by that, because they get a gallery and then the gallery goes, okay, well, you made your name on these works here. That's what we want. We don't want any experimentation. So in a sense, what you want to do, I would argue, as an artist, if you don't have a gallery, is you want to set the precedent that you do different series before you get a gallery, so that when you finally make a deal with your gallery or a gallery or several, they know what the score is and there's no big surprise. It's like, listen, I do several different series. I could try, and so there's kind of a benefit to setting that precedent before you actually sign with anyone, should you sign with anyone. Haiti Rocket, a new Nintendo glitch ROM. So interesting colors, kind of a blue, green, kind of a darker look to it, and kind of a more minimal, it reminds me, some of Haiti Rocket's Nintendo glitch ROMs are sometimes playing just with how little can you do, and it's kind of like, I think one of them had a jet that just kind of flashed a little bit. Sometimes they can be quite minimal and almost impressionistic, and here you can see it's almost abstracted. So an interesting, what I'd call more minimal work from Haiti Rocket, edition of 21, sold for primary, I think for $6.90. Classic. A few more of these walkers from Françoise Gamma. So we saw the first two. Now we are seeing more experiments in this walk error series. So again, kind of glitch, suggests there's some glitching going on. So here is number 3, here is number 4, and those errors sure make, look at how great this is. It kind of reminiscent of the glitch ROMs, aren't they? So, back to that, idea from Warhol, which I keep repeating here, embrace the errors, right? Embrace the mistakes, So, and you see how great it is. Like, it's arguably way more interesting to have all these mistakes here than just the walking person, right? Here's another one, walking error number 5. And we just see more. It looks like these have been glitched somehow, doesn't it? And I think it works out beautifully. So interesting work from Françoise Gamma. A new one from Gogolitis, just a cool, fun work outrun by the virtual worlds. And there is a poem. Whenever I see a poem now, I'm wondering, did AI help create it? But in Gogolitis' case, I assume not, but you never know. Anyways, just a cool pixel art work. Turning these pixel art factories, which we can kind of see referenced in the background here, incorporating them into more of a representational kind of 3D work here. So just kind of an interesting series. I think he's taking offers, like the top offers, very soon. So here they all are so far, and one for 28 there, another for 21. So anyways, nice frame too. This framing thing is a pretty interesting thing that I'm seeing here. I think it actually adds a lot to these works. We see it with Tom Bombadil. We see it with Hasdrubal Waffle. It's an interesting kind of, for lack of a better word, trope or just thing to pay attention to. This is kind of a different kind of framing. So mech.txt put a new work out. And what's interesting about what mech.txt does is he'll kind of put an image in the image. This is almost like the passepartout, the paper that goes over top, but he'll incorporate the image, it bleeds over into it, and then he'll create this kind of frame or this space, this limited space where he'll add other elements So anyways, interesting colors. A Living Water by mech.txt, and we see the clouds and the water kind of bleed into each other. And we've got a run here. The Hanged Man by Manidal. So another gorgeous, gorgeous work. Probably made in Aseprite because we saw Manidal working in Aseprite. The Hanged Man, and the colors are off the chart beautiful for this whole series. And that is not for sale yet, but it will be soon. So pretty cool. The Hanged Man, the 12th tarot card, accepting a different viewpoint, is symbolized by the Hanged Man. Accepting a differing viewpoint. Generally speaking, the Hanged Man is about waiting for the appropriate moment, new perspectives, and sacrifice. So we are learning the tarot here. Tom Bombadil. So here a black frame, but with a blue frame actually around that. Contrabandist, and so just another cool pixel artwork with these beautiful clouds here. And the kind of the basic dithering, I think this is number 7 as far as the dithering is concerned, just kind of 4x4. And here's another one, which Tom Bombadil loves, and Carpet Shop. So another kind of subject. It seems like an endless reservoir of subjects here, this time with the Carpet Shop. So very cool. And continuing on by now for 11, edition of 23. Here's a 3D pixel artwork, a glitch tree furniture decoration for the metaverse. So how cool is that? Voxel art and pixel art and glitch GLB sculpted in VR, AR, VR, interactive NFT GLB format. So a ton of tech going into this by Ivan Hugo, if I'm pronouncing that right. To buy for $255, edition of 10, 7 left. So you can add to your furniture in the metaverse, and there's a little bug on it too. So anyway, it's just interesting work. And Françoise Gamma, again, Toyex. And this almost looks like teletext or something, but I don't think it is. But it looks like a toy castle or something. So anyways, interesting. And also a super simple work by Bite by Bit, but interesting, Jazz. So this is part of a series. And again, back to this idea of series, as long as they're done consistently, and we'll see here very quickly that Bite by Bit has been experimenting with this series. And Bite by Bit has quite a few different series, the Banner Mania. Because Bite by Bit has explored them consistently and doesn't really abandon the series, then it creates its own credibility, and it shows, if anything, he's not just the guy that does the pixel art galaxies or nebulas. He does all sorts of stuff, and it shows, here's some existential, who am I? Because now it's jazz, and so playing with different colors, making it more musical, one could argue. So a 1 of 1 for 10 Tezos, and Rustic Digital Art, speaking of experimentation, puts out a 8 Badoo work, Ultra Speed, of the cropped Mario, it looks like, with maybe some clouds, perhaps, around it. Nice piece, edition of 15 for 2 Tezos. And Stippen Pixel, these very interesting portraits of buildings at kind of 3/4, 45-degree angle looking down. And so here's one, edition of 5 for 5 Tezos, and here is another one, Prism for Nostalgia, same thing, edition of 5 for 5 Tezos. So just interesting experimentation there. And Ellie Lowe. Kind of glitch, trash. So, another strange work by notable trash artist Ellie Lowe. And that is available. Let's just really quickly look here. So that is on secondary for 20, sold for $450. So the prices are going up for Ellie Lowe. I think deservedly. Ellie Lowe started at like 20 cents, I think. So, Ex-Mortal, a new one, PlayStation 1. So it looks like a PlayStation that has been glitched out. So rotating in 3D, very cool. Edition of 8, and I think this sold out for 5 Tezos each. And continuing on, Acid Soup with a couple of more, I guess you'd call it junk food. And here is a hot dog. And so anyways, very nice glitched out hot dog. I picked this up, glitch hot dog, and also a glitch birthday cake. And thank you, Acid Soup, who sent me one of these. So that is pretty cool. So I kind of like the junk food theme here. As we see, let's see if it loads up. You get the waffles, the pizza, the donut, the hamburger, and all that stuff. Again, a different series, but it's done with consistency, so all good. Now, Louis, I wasn't sure what this was. I thought this was a gorgeous work. And, you see this kind of circular, I don't know if it's AI. I don't know if it's like a filter put on top. I thought it was quite effective and kind of a moving still life. And then I was confused by this over here. Is this Louis' signature or is it someone else's? So again, I wasn't sure what was going on here. But cool work. So I assume it's Louis', but I just don't remember seeing Louis' signature. So I'm not sure what's going on that one. And of course, we remember Susan's Technicolor Dream here from the Camp Creme series. So that is the same artist. Santiago, possible cell number 1. So this is really interesting. Santiago seems to be using AI to make kind of like speculative scientific diagrams, right? So possible cell number 1, text to image tool and GIMP. I think these are fascinating. Okay, he had another one here. Fake science is my passion now. I think this is really, really, really cool series. He also had some proteins that I don't think we've looked at. Really, really interesting from over here. So more AI. Marina Amadova, Games Children Play. This is with WizardCon. She did the art. And anyway, so the twins are back, seemingly. And they're a cool kind of chess, background. And chess in the background, chess set. And again, almost looking scientific there too. So anyways, interesting colors too. Available for 3 Tezos edition of 50. Everlasting Feminine, composition number 6. A couple of nice flower works from Marina Amadova too. So I wonder I'm not sure which Midjourney this is using, but it makes you wonder. So here's another one. You almost wonder if it's 4 because it's more painterly, but I guess you can put in your prompt that you want it to be painterly. So composition number 4, 1 of 1, available for 50. And here is composition number 5, edition of 10, available for 5 Tezos. So very interesting here, cool work. And Not a Number, Dreamscapes number 5. And I believe he tweeted out, or Not a Number tweeted out that this work was made from, I think, a ChatGPT, prompting ChatGPT to make a prompt for, either Stable Diffusion or Midjourney, whatever the text-to-image tool was. A couple of works by Sky Goodman as we run through the rest of this here. Glow in the Dark Galaxy Highs, so a couple of new sneakers. So very cool, combination of AI and other tools here. Part of the Lost Sneakers series, sneakers created with AI, so very interesting. Here's another one. Just a nice sort of sneaker again with just all sorts of crazy design elements here, details. So very interesting. Martian Sunrise High. Yeah, very interesting novel imagery from Sky Goodman over there. Here's Simone. So Simone Stummer on Object. So we're helping with discovery here. Just a cool series, parking lots. Parking in the middle of nowhere, kind of almost a Ballard vibe there. So parking lot number 5. And I believe this is made with AI. Yes, AI. A series of AI-assisted artworks. So maybe some editing there. Parking lot number 13. This one's slightly more photographic. And I think we have another one here, parking lot number 7. And so here you are. So some different parking lots, courtesy of Simone Stummer, edition of 5, 10 Tezos. I thought this was quite a successful work by Bolin 132. This is not AI, this is collage and digital painting, but kind of fit really well with the AI. You see how the AI works are starting to bleed into the other works, at least for me. These things are starting to bleed into each other. Collage, AI, all these things. I thought this was a beautiful work. 1 of 1 for 7. Pretty reasonable. Here's another one, Aging Gracefully, a portrait of lived life. This is also by Bolin 132, and this one is gone. So just interesting digital painting and collage from Bolin 131, and continuing on, a new headquarters from Zoom for 2 Tezos here. And I love the last one, and I love this one, and I just love the subject matter of this series because we can all relate to it, or many of us, not all of us, but put it this way, it's become the new office after the pandemic for so many people. And they're trying to get us back in the office out there, but I don't know if it's going to work. I don't think it will. Headquarters number 2. So this is, put it this way, this is a reality that a lot of people have, so an art of everyday life. Josh Giddies, this is physical. The last one was AI, this is physical. And GM Basketball Heads, You Can't Beat Us by Working Class 09. So Josh Giddies is posting a physical work, I think, or not. I'm not sure what's going on here. This looks like it's by Working Class, but then Josh Giddies portrays this. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. Like, who is the artist here? But it is too late in the day to find out here, guys. But I thought it was an interesting work, whoever made it. We'll find out, and if someone leaves a message, if anybody knows, feel free to leave a comment, and I will make sure to announce that so we get the right person. Threesomes also put out a work, which I thought was quite beautiful. Another trading card. There is no filter on this, from what I understand, and just beautiful kind of sepias here, and beautiful textures, and nice combination of painting on a trading card. It really does seem to be going somewhere here with threesomes. Let's just look. I mean, I think we've done, and that great one with the 3s. So kind of playing with this kind of monochromatic kind of sepia textures here, but just very, very nice, playing again with one kind of theme and just exploring it to the hilt. So with all sorts of crazy work there. Daukente Draws, Flamenco, so a physical work. And she is back, flamenco, kind of mysterious work with what looks like someone with a balaclava, perhaps. I'm not sure what's going on here, flamenco. I was going to say it looks like a robber. Some robberies turn into dances. That is funny. So this is like a slow motion of a robbery, I would say, but you could argue it looks like 2 people dancing flamenco. Seems to be. Robbery Dances is the name of the series. Are there any others? This one here. That's quite a brilliant series, isn't it? Cha-cha-cha. So this person robbing this person in slow motion, but it's a dance. Brilliant. And Ollie Izakowski, inspired by Santiago, is this account here. And I am following Santiago. That is just a Twitter glitch. And so anyways, so people responding, as Sky Goodman was saying, we're having a conversation here. So now Ozzy Izakowski is responding to Santiago, which is cool. A couple more physical works. Kate Mary Art, I think this is stunning. This is off Instagram. Oil pastel on bar. Available on my website. So just beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. So much going on here, and just the simplicity down here and the complexity up here, the 2-dimensionalness, and just this work is stunning. I'm a big fan of this artist. I guess that's her, Kate Mary. Great, Instagram artist. How is she doing just in terms of 50,000 followers? She's doing pretty well. So look at that, and they just look stunning, don't they? Look at how great that looks. Painting and pics of 2022. So that looks like the good life over there. So anyways, having fun out of Glasgow. And an interesting artist, Steven Schwarzer, who we've also looked at. So just with a new work here. So it's interesting to, again, kind of contrast what we're seeing on Instagram here. There's so much talent out there. Now, Steven Schwarzer, only 2,500 followers and a pretty great artist. I'm pretty sure he has a gallery, though, interestingly. And here's another one by Bruno Miguel. Again, 5,000 followers here, just for out of interest's sake. And this series is totally awesome. I've been showing a ton of these. I just think they're beautiful. Look at that. I think we saw this one. I mean, they're stunning. So maybe that's the artist there with the pink hair. So anyways, all good. All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Until next time, take care.